one of the biggest things for small business owners or even bigger business, wherever it is you are, entrepreneur, is funding. And there's a lot of grants out there, you know, opportunities out there. And so it's important. And I love what you said, that looking at it from the lens of the reviewer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're just like, let me just do this. We're not really thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
And you're saying, like, the number one takeaway that I'm hearing here, look at it from the point of a reviewer. Secondly, leave no questions.
Leave no questions
in the mind of that. Okay.
Right.
Thinking about my prices, I'm like, I need to drop them down. Or like, it's so but I'm hearing in my spirit, don't.
Let me tell you something. God is so good.
Oh.
Because I have a real bad habit of just giving it away.
Me too. I feel like
literally giving it away because I'm like, and because I lean heavily on, you know what, God's gonna take care of me. So I said all that to say, all money ain't good money. Make sure that the fit is defined. Right. Make sure the fit is defined, because if not, then you just find yourself end up being just all over the place.
You know, I think it would be nice to be able to give opportunities to more people, you know, but that comes with, you know, having that kind of fund that's necessary. Where would someone even begin to look if they're looking for grants?
Well, honestly, it just depends on what it is that they want to do.
We're here with Victoria Odekomaya.
I know.
And Anastasia.
That's it.
Two boss ladies in the house.
Yes. Look, this is the intro. We're not even going to do any other intro. This is the intro. You're watching the Own Your Brand show, and I have Anastasia Ogutade here. Yes, she's Nigerian, and I am super excited. I remember when I first met you, I was like, wait a minute, like the name, like let's break down all of that. But today we're going to be chatting about life, being a mom, being an entrepreneur, being a child of God, and also funding.
Yes.
Grants. She's a grant writer and she excels in this area. As a business owner myself, I know funding is a big deal, something that we all need. So I'm hoping that at the end of this conversation, you will be able to come up with some things that you can do, those action items that are important for you to set yourself up to be able to get that grant in 2025 and beyond. So without much ado, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Girl, how are you doing?
I'm doing with Odekomaya.
I like that. Okay. She's speaking Nigerian Yoruba now. Okay. I like that. Wow. You've been picking up a lot of the language, Yoruba language, right?
You know, I really do. I love the culture. I love the people. I love everything.
Oh my goodness. So wait, you gotta tell me, how did you meet your husband? Like
at work.
Whoa.
At work, so I was raised in the military. I lived up and down this coast. And we like kind of sort of finally settled in Virginia. Left Virginia. I was born in Ohio though, so my core family is in Ohio.
Okay.
I was in Ohio trying to figure out life, like what's next. And the job that I was working needed me to come here for a special project.
All right.
So I came here and he was here. He was there. And you know.
And he was like, oh God, how you doing?
He did. He asked me for my number. I'm not gonna tell my husband's business, but he asked me my number and I was like, not today. I'll take yours. I'll take yours. I wasn't sure. I didn't know.
Yeah. They're like those Nigerian guys, huh? You're starting your thing.
Let me tell you something. When I met my husband, I was such in a place of, I'm about my money. I had 2 children, failed engagement, and I was like, I'm not here for anything other than rebuilding myself.
Yeah.
I'm here to get my bag. I'm here to make my money, and I'm trying to go home.
Right.
That's it. So a man was not on my radar.
You didn't have time for all the shenanigans.
No.
Yeah.
None of that. It didn't matter where you came from. If you was a man, I didn't have time.
Right.
You know?
So how did you know it was the one?
So I didn't know that he was the one until I had gotten back home. And we had been talking for some time, and I was cleaning my room one day and I came upon a notebook. In the notebook, I opened it up and it was a list that I had created maybe about a year or so ago about what it was that I wanted in a husband. And my husband had hit everything on the list except for like 2 things, and they were like negotiables, right? And I was like, okay, all right, cool. As I just felt, and then just the way that everything happened, like it just aligned so
That's
perfect.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So welcome to the Nigerian family.
Thank you.
And you have a Nigerian name, right? You have a Yoruba name.
Yeah, he calls me Anike.
Anike. Okay. I like that. And have you been to Nigeria?
Not yet. We're
Okay.
planning on going very soon.
That's good. We gotta make that. We gotta make that happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
our baby girl is 3. She has to go. I'm very determined. So you have to see your father's land.
Yes.
Okay?
And so, what are Nigerian food? What Nigerian food do you like to eat and that you make?
I don't want to say everything because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of things that I don't know. But yes, yes to the Efo, yes to the Alpha. I like Igbo food. Honey.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, how did you hear about Igbo food? Your husband is Yoruba.
Yeah, he introduced me. He in Nkwobi was it.
Oh, I see.
And that's some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so he brought that home, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice,
Wow.
tasty." And so then he introduced me to afang, and so I've had the poundo. I like actual real pounded yam, not the powdered
No
stuff.
kidding, girl. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into pounding that. Yeah.
But you know, I watch on YouTube, and they got little tips and tricks to make it easier. And
Yeah.
so I surprised him one day, and I made it. He said, "This is real poundo."
Oh, that's so good. So you eat the egusi, the efo,
Yeah,
and
I
all
make
that.
jollof rice,
Okay, girl.
coconut rice, all of that.
All right, I have to ask you. You probably heard about the Jollof wars
Between Ghana
and Nigeria.
and Nigeria.
So knowing that you are technically Nigerian, now that you're married to a Nigerian, I'm gonna ask you the question that every Nigerian
burning
versus
question.
the burning question.
Yeah.
Which jollof do you think is the best one?
You know, I'm biased.
Hey, wait,
biased.
before you answer that question, think very well.
I'm biased.
Okay.
And then I'm also operating on, because I've never had a Ghanaian jollof rice, but
Okay.
you know, as it stands right now, and I'm pretty sure the answer will still remain the same. It's Nigerian.
Look,
jollof
yes,
rice.
there you have it, everybody.
The smoky, hotty
That's it.
jollof rice.
That's it. Look, that's it. The
That's
war
it.
is over. We have won. The Nigerian jollof has won the battle
Nigerian jollof.
again.
Yes.
Look,
yes.
I don't know what the fight is about, but this is over.
I don't know either.
Look.
No, I'm pretty sure they have another specialty or something.
Yeah,
But not
but
jollof
yeah, I think it's a friendly fight. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
but oh my goodness, that's amazing. And you make all these things too, right? Jollof and other things.
Yeah. I'm very sincere and actually it's my husband, he knows. I just don't understand why you marry someone from another culture and you don't try to embrace that culture. You don't try to partake in it. You don't try to help, bridge that gap. Like so I was very steadfast in that.
Yeah.
And making sure that I tried to embrace, explored, did research, and tried and go from there. That was just one thing that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to, it's called imperialism. Like I didn't want to overtake his culture with American culture. But then not only that, excuse me, for myself, I learned a lot about the African American culture when I met him. There were some things that he did and I'm like, we do that here. So that's where we get it from.
Yes. That's
and we don't know why we do it. We just know that we do it.
Right.
And so like hearing him talk, Nigerians are loud no matter what.
Yes, we are.
But we're loud too in my family. We're loud. And so, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a us thing.
Yes.
It's a us thing.
Yeah.
It's not but it was just really good. And I told him, I said, it's gonna be a homecoming for you, but it's definitely gonna be a homecoming for me. Like it's gonna be such a full circle moment, and I just know that I'm gonna love it when I get there.
Yes.
Even in all of its imperfections and highs and lows, like I'm ready and willing to embrace it all because I'm like this. I really feel like this is a piece that's gonna connect a lot of dots.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard about all the things in Nigeria, but I think your mother-in-law will be so happy that she found a woman that is willing to embrace the culture. Because I know a lot of mothers, they are fearful of that, like, am I losing my son forever and all the things, but she's like, look, this one, she came back home.
They see he was sending pictures. I had back the baby and everything.
Really? Wow, that's so good.
Yeah, so
oh my God.
Like, and I think one of her major concerns was when I had the baby, is she gonna breastfeed? He said, oh yeah, she's gonna breastfeed the baby. So I He was saying, he was like, my mom told me to tell you thank you. My mom told me to tell you thank you, that you really, you tried to.
Oh, that is so sweet. Oh my God. You're such a wonderful wife, wonderful woman. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's God, it's not me. I'm telling you. The wisdom that I have, gained in this marriage has been nothing short of God.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we started, like just the impact of God in our lives, and I see that you embrace that so much because I see God in everything that I do, and again, it's all God. It starts and ends with Him, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have that relationship with Him.
Yeah. Some people, they don't even know, like, I'll say something or I'll do a presentation and people, oh, you're so amazing, you're doing so well, you did, and I'm like, honey, that was not me.
That's the God factor.
And they're like, no, that was, I'm like, you don't even understand what I'm saying.
Exactly.
This is not me. This is all God. Like, what you see, what you're witnessing is the goodness of God, and what you're witnessing is the glory of God made manifest.
That's right. Ooh, I can relate completely. Yes, because I get that a lot too. Like, wow, you're excellent, and other things. Look. You have no idea.
If it was like that, the Anastasia, we would have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. And, just the idea that God blesses what you do and amplifies it. So, that little bit, it's, I remember there's like, when God blesses the works of your hand.
Yeah.
Like the things that you would spend 1,000 years to get, it would take you one year,
My pastor, shout out to Apostle Joshua Selman.
Shout out.
Koinonia Global. Go check him out. That's what he talks about, the grace of speed. The grace of speed and the grace of favor.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, God, what they don't realize is that your blessings lie within the men that are around you. Not men, but the human race, right? And so he's like, God's blessings come to men through men.
Yes.
So this right now, you extending your platform, it is a blessing for my business. And so, but God blessed you with this platform in the first place.
Yes. And one of the things that, we talked about a little before we started was like, I always worried about, I'm not a preacher.
Yeah.
But how do I, still do the work of God? It sounds like even what you just said is like, this is me using my talents to still do the work of God, even though I might not be preaching and, And for you said like sometimes the one conversation might be the only conversation someone gets.
Absolutely. You don't know who. So sometimes people only encounter with Jesus is through the encounter that they have with you. And it is our job as a believer, as a follower of Christ, as a child of the Most High King, to allow for that love that we've been given to be shown to other people.
Right.
And so someone may say, they could be having a bad day or whatever, and then we have an encounter with them, and then it's just changed the whole trajectory because we showed them kindness or we showed them love. That's our job.
Yes.
Full stop. It may not be. I commend those street preachers, honey.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I can't do it because the way that Anastasia is set up. The way that she is set up.
Right.
Sometimes we can real debating, right? And I don't need to argue. I don't need to argue what the Bible says. I don't need to order. I don't need to argue technicalities, semantics, or none of that stuff because the word said what the word said.
Yes. Period.
That's it. Like, you take that up with him. I don't have nothing to do with that.
Absolutely.
And I recognize that that's my strength. The Lord knows what my strength is, right? And so I was like, well, God, maybe you can put me in a situation where it's like an alley-oop. You toss it up and then I slam dunk it down. I slam dunk it down. Like, you just set everything up and then I'll come and say a little thing. But to come and do the whole, get to the court and then that's not me. Love. That's not me. Like, that's not who I am. But that's just what we're called to do. He calls us, we are light and salt.
Yes, of the world. Yes.
Right. So salt enhances, right? Light illuminates.
Absolutely.
So if we cannot illuminate and if we're not enhancing, then we are all the way out of line.
Yes.
So that's what we should be.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
our calling. That's what we're supposed to do.
Wow, I love that. And again, for me, it's just reassuring to know that, yes, I mean, again, every time I have the opportunity, I still share the love of God, like in terms of preaching to people, but like just my everyday doing, everything that my conversation, sometimes it's just your action or reaction to, you know, speaks louder and speaks the love of God.
Absolutely.
And so because it took me a while to be delivered from that, I always thought, I was like, oh, and look, for a long
It's
time,
that condemnation. The enemy, he be like, you ain't Christian enough.
I asked him, like, Lord, am I doing your will? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, how am I supposed to be like preaching? Like, because for me, I was like, well, you want me to feed my family, right? I have to be okay. But if I'm like, I just don't know how to do, what do I do? So, you know, once I was talking to a pastor friend of mine, and she was like, look, you're using your talent is bringing glory to God. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So that's, you know, oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
And you know, sometimes it's so difficult because, you know, I'll give it to you analogy. We're like whales. Whales are born in the water, they live in the water their entire life. But they can't because they are not of the water. So we are in this world, but we are not of it.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I used, because, you know, we want to be politically correct and we want to make all nice and, you know, play, you know, be the cool kid on the block. Guess what? Sometimes following Christ, we're not gonna be the cool kid.
That's right. And it's okay not to be
okay.
there. Yeah.
And once you get to that point where you're like, well, you know what? I'm okay with being the oddball out. You want to know why? Because we are a peculiar priesthood.
Ooh, that's right.
We're meant to be set apart, so there has to be something different about us.
Yeah.
And it's not for us. It's not our job to go around,
condemning people.
Right, but you got to stand on business. Though.
Yes.
You know, you have to stand on business, and that's that. And so that's one thing that I did struggle with, because it was like, you know, God, like, you see what I have to deal with at work, and that's part of another reason why I stopped working. Because, like, you know, the environments and things, it's like, it's really hard for me, you know, to want to just, it's hard for me to be that light. It's hard for me to be that light. It's hard for me to do those things. And so that's where that revelation came in. It's like, oh, I think I'm supposed to be preaching to my coworkers. And it's like, no, I'm really not comfortable doing that. You know, and not only that, I can clearly see that people, they're because it's different levels.
Right.
No one's more saved than the other. We just had different levels of our
And we're on different journey too. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was like, you know, what am I doing here? How can I feel good and do your will at the same time? Or am I not supposed? Is that not the case? Because sometimes God be like, I don't care about your feelings. It's so true. He be like, since when did your feelings come into play?
You know, God is dealing with me about that, like my prices. And I've been like thinking about my prices. I'm like, I need to drop them down. Like, it's so exciting. But I'm hearing in my spirit, don't.
If he tell you not to be, now let me tell you something. God is so good. Oh. Because I have a real bad habit of just giving it away.
Me too. I feel like
literally giving it away, because I'm like, and because I lean heavily on, you know what, God's gonna take care of me. God's gonna take care of me, and I just feel in my heart like, just because maybe it's because I've lived in poverty before, where just because somebody can't afford to do something doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have it. That's how I got into grant writing. That's how I got into grant writing, because just because an organization doesn't have the money to do something or to do the work that they want to, doesn't mean that they don't deserve to get the funding or have an avenue to do it.
I see.
And I just really feel strongly about that. Like, who gets to tell someone that you don't get to eat because you don't have the money to? Like, how dare you?
Right.
That's a basic human necessity.
Absolutely.
And you deserve to eat well.
Yes.
A nutritious meal, not some food from the convenience store.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Simply because you live in a food desert.
That's not easy. So I've been hearing too, like, don't, and I'm like, I don't know, but like, you know, it kind of reminds me of that story of the woman where I think she's the widow woman that was with the oil. With the oil. Yes, with Elijah. And so is it Elijah? I think it's Elijah. And he told her to go get all the pots. Like, what do you have? And
If she got a loan, did you realize that?
Really? Tell me about
She
that.
got a loan.
She went to
borrow.
Yeah, she went to go borrow a bunch of oil
But
pots and
baby,
things.
she
Yeah.
got a loan.
I never thought of it that way, but she went to go borrow a car. But I was thinking, like, if had she not gone out and did those things, had she not gone, and she had gone and just did a few, because the moment she got to the last, she ran out.
That was it.
So
if she went and only got a few, she would only got a few.
So when I keep hearing "don't" in my spirit, I'm like, look, I just need to be obedient.
Yeah.
And my feelings doesn't matter here, because if I could just listen and be obedient, it's okay. So, whew.
Yeah, no, you're right. I feel like I need to go up on my rates, but I also don't feel like this strong burden to go up on my rate.
Okay.
And then I'm also taking into consideration the environment that I'm in. It's like, okay, well, we have some people who were like, okay, well, I want to hire you to write a grant. And I give them my price. Okay, well, what if you just review it? My review rate is different than my writing rate. Okay, we can do that. So I'll review it, but you still got to do the work. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
But it's a lesson that they have to learn, because then this just happened with the client of mine. She was like, I'm never doing this again. Never am I doing this again. She and the
Appreciation for the work that you do.
Yeah. And the application, and imagine, and it's not to downplay anything like that. The application was 8 questions. I've written applications that were much grander than that. But it was a learning lesson, and I really hope that they did take away the questions that I asked, because I go through and I write, questions, because I'm doing it from the lens of a reviewer. And okay, when you're writing your application, there should be, your aim is to not have any questions, for that person to not have any questions at the end of your proposal. Okay. Because if you have questions, if I have questions at the end, then that means we're done. There's nothing else for to discuss. Why? Because there are 500 other applications that I gotta read.
That's right.
And I don't have time to call you up, send you an email to be like, what did you mean by this?
Ooh, that's good. Okay.
No. It's incomplete.
Yeah.
It's incomplete. Or you don't even know how to effectively talk about what it is that you're doing.
Oh my God, that's a whole different line.
You don't even know how to effectively talk about what it is that you're doing. So what am I funding? If you can't clearly tell me what it is that you have going on and what you're trying to do, then why are you asking me for money?
Okay, let's just make sure that sinks in. Because look, one of the biggest things for small business owners, or even bigger business, wherever it is you are, entrepreneur, is funding. And there's a lot of grants out there, opportunities out there. And so it's important. And I love what you said, that looking at it from the lens of the reviewer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're just like, let me just do this. We're not really thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
And you're saying, like, the number one takeaway that I'm hearing here, look at it from the point of a reviewer. Secondly, leave no questions in the mind of that. Okay.
Right. And I know that it's difficult, because you know what you're talking about when you write.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
So one common thing that happens a lot, if your organization has a long name and you've shortened it, you have acronyms. You may or may not say the name in the beginning of the application, and then it's acronyms all the way throughout. It burns me when I forget the name of the organization.
Yeah, that is, because even if you wanted to hand out the money, like, who are you handing out the money to?
Who am I handing out to? Now I gotta go and search, try to find the name.
Yeah.
So what I tell people, it's okay to put your acronyms in there, but every once in a while, put your full name in there. Put your full name in there. Put your full name in there, because that reminds the person of who your organization is.
Okay. So that's good. So are there anything else we should be, now that we're talking about grants? So, like, where would someone even begin to look if they're looking for grants?
Well, honestly, it just depends on what it is they want to do.
Okay.
My special, or what their business, how their business is structured. Okay, so first things first, if you have a nonprofit organization, you should be running it like a business. That's something that a lot of organizations don't do. But it's my specialty is nonprofit. Now that I have a for-profit business, I'm beginning to learn more about the for-profit sector. But my start and my specialty was with nonprofits. So you look at your local foundations, like here you have the Central Indianapolis Foundation. You can look up different women's funds. So it just depends on what specialty or and that's the thing. What problem is your organization trying to solve?
That's good.
Right. What problem is your organization trying to solve, and what happens if your organization is not in place? For me, because that's your pain point. For me, in my applications, everybody's gonna die. If these kids don't get these book bags, they're gonna die. I don't know how they're gonna die, but they're gonna die. I'll figure that out later. They're going to die. You know, what happens if this food pantry is not in place? People will die of hunger.
Yeah.
You know, what happens? So my niche is working with organizations that work with maternal and infant mortality, right? So breastfeeding is my jam. Breastfeeding is my jam, y'all. So what happens if we don't have organizations in place to support families who are trying to breastfeed? Guess what? You're going to have moms and babies die.
Yeah.
So you have to just type it in, like grants for infant mortality or grants for maternal mortality, grants for
and we're talking type it in Google.
Yeah, type it in Google.
Okay.
Funding for economic development, workforce development. You know, look at those key things. Like you can type in like how to describe what it is that I'm doing. So with photography, you could work on, this is like women empowerment, economic development, economic stability, creativity. There are, you know, things like arts and things like that. So it can expand in multiple different ways. You just gotta look at how you describe it. And then once you do that, then you can start and look. So first of all, grant databases are very expensive. So you can find free options. It'll take a little bit of legwork, but going like Foundation Directory or grants. First of all, stay off of grants.gov. You are not ready for grants.gov, okay? You are not.
Okay, tell me why.
Because people will have just gotten, the ink is not dry on their articles of incorporation.
And they're like,
hit me with the $10 million. Can I get, no, you're not ready, right? And so grants.gov, those are federal grants and they're like millions of dollars in funding, right? And so you can, you know, local organizations, can get them, but they're more for the United Ways, the Girls Inc. The bigger ones. But again, that's where your partnership comes into play.
Okay.
Because you can't, if you have a partnership with, you know, your Girls Inc. or whatever the case may be, you can say, hey, I found this grant. We've already been doing work. We already have a workshop going with some of the girls because my organization comes in and we talk about, you know, self-esteem and things of that nature, right? So we already have an established partnership. Or established working. We built rapport. How about you apply for this grant or I apply for this grant and we partner together?
To get that. That's good. That's good. Right. And then you also mentioned another critical thing was having work to show.
Yeah, your impact. So unfortunately, a lot of times founders, like, they just going because that's what is in their heart, right? And so they're just doing the work. They're going off vibes. They're not collecting no data. They've been doing this for 5 years and they're like, well, we have summer camp every year. I don't know how many kids, you know, we just
do it.
We just do it. That's really unfortunate because right now it looks like you've done absolutely nothing. But start collecting data from day one. First year, we had 30 students. Second year, word got out a little bit more, we had 45 students. Next year, we had to start collecting, okay, their race demographic, if you can get their economic demographic. Why? Because then you can say our core population or the target population, our target demographic are lower income or Black children or brown children, or whatever the case may be, whoever tends to gravitate towards your organization, you can do this two different ways. You can say, well, these are the main people who come to our organization, but we're really not checking for them. We're checking for these people.
Right.
Because we know that if there's already a deficit with this demographic, then there's a greater deficit with this demographic.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. So yeah, taking that, taking numbers, taking notes of the numbers, and then maybe even taking testimonial of the results.
Absolutely.
too.
Doing surveys, doing pre and post program surveys. Find out, okay, so like if your program is a self-esteem or a how to whatever, how to organize, or a parenting class or something like that. Do a pre-survey. What do you know? Ask them a couple of questions, basic questions, baseline questions. And then after the workshop, have them take the survey again. Because then you can say, okay, well, there was a 50% or 70% increase in knowledge based on the information that they gave. And this has been a historical pattern for however many sessions we've had and things of that nature. And this is the feedback that we've gotten. Families have seen for working with children, families have seen a decrease in suspensions, an increase in grades. We've seen an increase in like family engagement and things of that nature. Like everything can be quantified, and you would want to quantify as much as possible because the data doesn't lie, and you can't refute data, right? So no matter what it is, if you gave out book bags, we gave out X amount of book bags this year. You want to hit up who's a book bag, Eddie Bauer or Jan Sport or whoever, we gave out this many book bags. This demographic is low income. Students suffer from not being. Let me tell you something. You get you a good grant writer, you can tie it into so many stuff. To so much stuff. Excuse me. To so much stuff. You can sit there and say, well, if you don't have a proper fitting book bag, then that can lend to scoliosis and all of that stuff. Listen.
You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because my kids, their book bag, one of them in particular, Trevor, his book bag is, I think it's like 50 pounds. And Trevor is like 11 year old. And I keep telling him, whenever he's picking up his bag, he has to swing it just to put it on his bag. And I'm like, what is it that you're carrying about? So when you say scoliosis and all, I'm like, there's a ton of things. Because I'm like, there's too much weight on you. Yeah. If you have to like swing the bag.
Does he have so when I was in school, we had like A day and B day. Does he have those? Does he have like day 1 or day 2?
I know he has 3 classes in a day or like 3 sessions. But he keeps telling me that he's not able to put his books in his locker. I'm like, so why do you have a locker? Why do you have to lug it around every day? But in any case, there's something about that. But so it's interesting to see how you can tie it into so many things.
If you get your good grant writer, you can tie your mission back to a lot of funders. But I say that there's a caveat to that because then you don't want to do scope creep. Because then let's adjust this to fit into this. And then let's adjust it to fit into that. And then next thing you know, you're so far away off base when you look back. You don't want to do that. So I said all that to say all money ain't good money. Make sure that the fit is defined. Right? Make sure the fit is defined because if not, then you just find yourself end up being just all over the place.
Right.
Like how did a scoliosis foundation end up with a Sherwin? A paint application. A paint company. Like, what are we doing? Like, how did that work?
Right. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's it. Because you have to account for the money too. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, don't play with these people's money.
It's free money, but not free.
It's not free. It is free money with
accountability,
stiff direction, hard direction. Like. You have in your application, you have to say, because you're telling them, this is what we want to do with that money. So, and this is why, so it's very important for an organization to have funding outside of grants because grants are earmarked for specific things that you said in your application. So if you said, I'm going to bus these girls to King's Dominion at the end of our program. And the funding is for the food for the program, the books, and everything else. But guess what? The van breaks down. You cannot take that money and go get your van fixed. Oh. And you can have $100,000 sitting in your bank account. If it's all grant money and none of that money was for fixing your van, you don't have no money.
Wow.
Unfortunately, some organizations don't get that memo, or they don't think that it's that serious, but it really is, because again, you have to submit receipts. And another
I was
thing,
getting ready to say that. How do they know all this?
Oh, you submit receipts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to submit proof. Some organizations, some funders will require pictures. So to be like, okay, let's see these kids' book bags.
Ooh, okay.
Let's see these kids in King's Dominion, or let's see these families on Pantry Day.
Right,
you know, whatever
okay.
the case may be. So it really is all up to the funder. But yeah, you can't just go out and now, unless it's a unrestricted funding.
Okay.
Then with unrestricted funding, then you can go get the van fixed. But if it's specific, if it's restricted, if it's specific, you have to do what it is that you said that you're going to do. Now, you can call them up and say, hey, this is what we plan to do. This is what happened. And we can't do that without doing this. Can we pivot a little bit? So maybe we are not able to fund 30 girls. Maybe we can only fund 20 girls and then get the van fixed.
And so you have to get that approval, obviously, in writing and all that.
Yeah. You have to get the approval, and yes, get everything in writing. Wow. You have to get the approval in writing, because again, someone later on, they might not have gotten a memo and say, hey, this application said this, but you submitting car repair receipts. What's going on? Right. Oh, well, print out this email. Here you go.
That's good. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that it was that deep, like, very detailed.
And the thing is, and sometimes, so people will probably try to do that with local foundation grants. Don't do that with the government's money.
Yeah, that's all. I was gonna ask the question later too about how that plays into taxes, but go ahead with your thoughts here.
So that's it. That's it. You have to prove yourself financially responsible, and that's the thing. So you pay very, very close attention to the proposal, the RFP, request for proposal. It has all of the guidelines in there. Sometimes some funders will even say, we want this in 12 font, double space, Times New Roman, on pink paper.
Okay. Wow.
And guess what? If you don't have it in 12-point font, Times New Roman, double space, on pink paper, your application is done. No matter if it's a wonderful proposal, because what you have proven is that you can't follow directions. So if you can't follow directions and you're in your request, then how are you going to follow directions when you get them?
Plus, they have a ton of them to review anyway, and who has time?
And that's it.
That makes sense.
And that's it. So
So what about? I mean, I know you're not a CPA, but I'm just wondering from your point of view. So you get this money, let's say $100,000, right? And the year goes by. Like, well, how does that fit into taxes at the end of the year? Like, you pay taxes on this money?
Yeah. So not necessarily taxes, but you do have to report the money. Okay. I'm not a CPA. This is not tax information.
It's not tax advice.
This is not financial advice. But yeah, no, if people go to their local CPA, or to there might even be organizations that specifically help nonprofits with this, but no, you have to report the monies that you got. Okay. And keep receipts. Like I said, keep receipts of everything, how much you got, and then so you can say, well, we got an award. Sorry, I keep doing this.
It's okay.
We have this award for $100,000, but we only actually spent $50,000. So then next year you allocate it differently, like on your budget for the next year, because you're not working with 100,000, you're only working with 50. So short answer, yes, you do have to put on your taxes, but how much of it, because you have some grants are reimbursable, meaning this is why it's important for you to have diversified income streams, because a funder will say, well, yeah, we'll give you $100,000, but you have to put the money up first, and as you go, you submit receipts for what it is that you spend, and we'll give it back to you.
Wow.
Yeah. Then you have some who are like, yeah, you can have 100,000, but do you have 100,000? No, you only have 50. Well, we're only matching 50, and that's how you're gonna get your 100,000.
Yeah, that's good. So I know we've talked a lot about non-profit organizations. Are there grants out there for for-profit organizations?
Yeah, so there are grants out there for for-profits. It's a little bit more difficult, I'm finding myself, but it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. What social impact is your business? If your business, you got a chocolate city out there, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to get funded because there's no social enterprise or social impact out there.
Look, we never know.
You
can tie into something.
2024, women's empowerment. In 2024, you never know. But, if you have a for-profit organization that, like a barber school, it's a school, it's for-profit, and you structured it that way, because sometimes some people, they don't know, they're like, listen, I just know I need a business, and so we just do it like this. But you want to have like a social enterprise or a nonprofit aspect to that, you can do that as well. But it's all about keeping your data. So for your business, for example, I have photography students come in and I help them develop their skills, and there is a small fee associated with it, but that small fee that they have to pay, it doesn't cover everything that they utilize or whatever the case may be. And so that's why I'm asking for funding, so that I can keep on with this program. So because I do want to make money, but I also understand the importance of extending the olive branch.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because what I've done in my business is I like to raise money for a local nonprofit organization. So I take a portion of all my proceeds, and I also, canvas women, people from the public to help raise the money, and we've been successful doing it twice. So we've raised about $20,000 so far. Now, I don't have any nonprofit, and usually what we do is that whatever organization we're donating the money to, I'm very transparent. Like, this money is going to these people. If you donate, it's going directly to them. You'll be getting a letter of thanks and everything from them. I'm just like the conduit, but I have thought about, I've had a lot of people even talk to me about maybe having a nonprofit, because like the type of experience that I give in my photo shoots, the celebrity experience, some people, beyond the photography, just young girls can benefit from that self-esteem boost, the confidence boost that but I just don't know how to I need to talk to a nonprofit, someone with a specialty in nonprofit, and then you with the grants and all the things, because I think it would be nice to be able to give opportunities to more people, but that comes with having that kind of fund that's necessary, because although I like to give away everything, and I still will do, but I still gotta feel
that's me.
Wow.
Because sometimes doing over the back and forth. So this is something that's so funny, like what some colleagues and I will do, and I'm like, why are we like this? So someone will come to me for services, and I'll write them an invoice, and they'll pay me the money. And then I'll turn around and get services from them, and turn around and get the same exact money that they just. Why are we like this? What are we doing? Why do we do this? So we just pass it back and forth.
At least from the point of like your books, it shows that you collected money and then you spent. That is so funny.
Why are we doing this?
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess it speaks to your heart of just giving too. Yeah. Wow, this has been such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. And thank you for just being open to share with us about grants and how we can take advantage of that. So now, for those of people out there that are like, I need help from Anastasia to tell me what to do, how to do it, like whether to review their grants or to help them write it, how can they get in touch with you?
So my website is www.agsgrants.com. So agsgrants.com.
And I'm going to put all of that in the description so you can have access. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. Yeah, follow. Go follow. Well, thank you so much for coming. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I feel like you just keep chatting. It was really nice. Yeah.
This is my first podcast. It was good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, that's it for today. Make sure you check out Anastasia's LinkedIn as well as our website, which I'm going to put on the, in the description. You know how that already goes. Make sure you connect with her, check out our website and ask for help with grants, because I have a strong feeling like with 2025, there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot of help that we need. Get the help that you need so that we can go far. So, but until next time, keep owning your brand. Bye.